Hello and welcome to my video on Cry Machina. Well, this video took longer than expected. In any case, here it is. Part 1. I will be going according to how I played through the game. So, without further ado, we'll go with Episode 1, Intro. So, the game starts off showing a little bit of how the world is through the character 11. And well, she dies in the hospital only to wake up in the future with a pathetic body. That segment itself is roughly 30 seconds long, showing you about the world and the state in which the character is in. In just that amount of time, it tells you that this is a post-apocalyptic world. And the point of view character hates basically everything, and yet has a desire to live. Strange. And once we get past the part when she awakens and sees Enoa, who she assumes is an angel, only for her to keep reinforcing the fact that she's just a machine, and yet she still calls her an angel, but that's besides the point. 11 is the chosen one to more or less save humanity. One thing that does pretty well is getting you into the game with just enough information, more or less, to start the game and have a bit of understanding what's going on. And for the most part, not really overstay its welcome so that you can start getting into the gameplay aspect. And while it is a tutorial level, it also lets you engage with a little bit more world building if you choose to do so, but you don't have to. That is quite interesting, though I suppose it's not a necessity, which is why they did that, but it does help further builds upon world building for the world. There's more to the intro, but I don't feel the need to really talk about it, except for maybe Ecclesia, the boss, that comes in, and from what we get from Enoa is that he's going easy on us. And we're not entirely sure why, but we do know that he is effectively the strongest thing in the world right now. So he could very easily destroy them. Then we have the enemies of Enoa come in for only the second, with Ecclesia going after them. That is a bit strange. This is definitely something that they're setting up. And what is it exactly? I'll mention it once we get there. Who really knows? So with this, we have Enoa, 11, Makoto, and Ami, 4 characters. That is apparently our crew. And well, Enoa tries to explain things to 11, but it's a little too difficult for her to understand. And so Ami and Makoto helps clarify things, which both helped and didn't help. While you don't really know much about each of these characters, there's enough distinction between each of them where you can identify more or less which one's which. That and none of the names have any overlapping starting letters or sounds to help distinguish them, so it's more separations to lessen the possibility of mixing up the characters. And well, while infodomes aren't necessarily the greatest things, they are inevitable, especially for fantasy and sci-fi stories, which this is. And this is not particularly a bad place. Actually, I think it's a good place to have the some level of exposition, because you already had enough, not necessarily enough, but you had a sense of what the game is. And you more or less probably have some level of acceptance with the world, and so you have enough tolerance for more in-depth exposition to better understand the world. So part of the explanation, the infodub, is that there are 8 DNX Machinas. I'll just refer to them as god machines to simplify things. And Enoa is the 8th of the god machines, where her responsibility is to make personality data for the EVEs, or in other words, she made the personalities of Levin, Makoto, and Ami, and others like them. And these bodies are used to recreate humanity, or I guess restore humanity, revive humanity, something like that. And well, we also get more information about the predicament they're in after the first god machine had disappeared for whatever reason. The third took over and assimilated some of the other god machines and attacked Enoa. So it was the 3rd, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th that attacked Enoa. And we just battled against the 2nd, which we assume is its own party. Well, I guess not really assume, but rather that it is its own party. And then the 4th is an ally of Enoa. And one thing that kind of bothers me is E cross P. I don't know why they call it that when they can just call it EXP unless they have some sort of reason why they want to do that. It just sounds like they're just trying to be special for the sake of being special or different, which is kind of annoying. Though I suppose it's not always a bad thing. But in any case, the crew only recently been able to have a place to stay and rest up, which is kind of the reason why they have Levin now. The Chosen One. So apparently it's the first that mentioned that Levin is the Chosen One. That's more than likely a subtle hint to something that they may reveal later on, the true meaning behind it, or what secret it hides. But well, I mean, I suppose this is more or less it for the first video or episode. Then I guess we can go on to the second one. Then we go on to episode 2, Levin's first mission. Yes. Anyways, we start with tea time, right? And Enoa, Ami, and Makoto all insist that Levin is a part of their family. Well, I guess it's more so Ami and Makoto, but Enoa also wants Levin to be a part of it as well. Of course, Levin, being Levin, hates people, hates the world, hates everything. She's like, no, boss, I don't know you well enough. Which, understandable. But of course, it doesn't matter because, a family, at least in the way they see it, is you accept them as who they are, more or less. You're together as a family, and there's not much you can do about it, whether you like it or not, but you will still care for one another. And the only reason why Levin's okay with it is because Enoa is a part of the family. Definitely showing that she has a soft spot for her. And then we get to the part when they talk about becoming human. And well, that starts to become interesting. Levin has no idea, but here Makoto wants to be human because, well, she would effectively be a god in this realm with how all the robots are just like, hey, we recognize you as a human, therefore we obey everything you say. And she's like, oh, you know what, that would be really cool. And you have Hami here who just wants to be a family. She just wants to have a family. And apparently only humans can have families, I guess? Well, I guess she would need to be human to be able to give birth to children because she wants children. She wants to have a family of her own, and that's a way to do it, I guess. I mean, there's always adoption, but I guess that's not blood family. It's probably what she wanted, so... And spend a lot of time with Makoto. And now that we have a better understanding of each of these characters, we can see that there's certain quirks about each of them. Helps solidify them as different characters, and we may identify with one or the other more, or like one more than the other. Although it is a bit weird that you have more of these character-to-character interactions with a more visual novel-esque kind of style versus the gameplay aspect being more of well, not more, but is a hack and slash. That is a weird combination, and from what I can tell, this works for some people and not for others. And well, this is also common when I look at, say, like console games, but this kind of combat or gameplay aspect makes me think of phone games, mobile games. They're very similar to this. So it may work better for that kind of crowd rather than, say, people who play consoles. But, well, moving on. Since Levin doesn't really know her reason or purpose in life, they're like, hey, go and find it. We'll put you on this mission. Shouldn't be too bad. It's easy. It's easy work. And, well, on the mission, Levin runs into a cherub who actually can talk. What a surprise. Yes, I know. But apparently, just shoving enough E cross P into them allows them to speak. Who would have thunk? E cross P being the way you identify someone's humanity level allows you to speak. But anyways, we beat the cherub, and we are blindsided by more exposition because Ami and Makoto does not like they don't need much information. Makoto just doesn't care for it. Ami's just like, but the unknown is interesting. Thus, Enoa doesn't explain that much, kind of leaves some details out. And well, Levin's just like, it would be nice to know more. Just saying. Which is very understandable. And well, now that we have accumulated some E cross P, we can allocate it to our members, being 11 or Mikoto. But there's a cap because Anoa needs to reclaim some of her data back from the other god machines, and that is through their idea codes. They each have fragments of Anoa's idea code in their own, so we kind of have to take theirs, and that probably means we have to kill them. Which is fine, that's a normal thing in JRPGs. Well, in video games in general. And well, I guess Mikoto just likes speaking some English phrases, because being able to speak a foreign language is cool. I mean, I don't think they're too far off, because a lot of people want to learn another language because they think it would be cool. Like Japanese, all those weebs. And well, I do appreciate them spreading out the information bit by bit, even though there are a lot of dumping on the first part, but the second part is a lot lighter. And now that it seems like we've gone through most of the exposition, it should be fine. If not, we've gone through pretty much all the exposition we need, maybe. And so I guess it's time to go into episode 3. Episode 3, Trinity. Or is it just Trinity? Trinity? Anyways, it's a question. Trinity? Why is it a question? Well, we'll get there when we get there. Anyways, 11 asked if they had defeated any god machines. Well, no. Why? Because they were on the run the entire time until recently they had acquired the limitation garden. So now they actually can stay safe and relax when they want to, instead of constantly running from place to place and maybe attack when they have to. And so yeah, then we find out that Ami cannot fight. Well, that's about it, because they're probably going to explain it more later. They want to hold it off, the information. Now, how soon will they let us know? It's hard to say, but it might be much later, but who knows? Now we have Mikoto going out on the mission because she needs to show how it's really done. Plus she wants to look cool as a senpai. And in a gameplay perspective, or I guess it's a developer kind of perspective, they want you to play with each of the characters, and well, this is a way to do it. So yes, Mikoto is going on, and well, they're like, well, yeah, because this is a more dangerous place, and well, Laban doesn't exactly know what she wants to do, but that was the exact reason why they had her go on the other mission. Oh well, whatever. I guess they don't want to be consistent. But then again, I guess their justification is that it's much more dangerous, and well, if you don't have a reason, you actually could die, and we don't want that, since the other one wasn't that threatful. So yeah, without having a reason, it should have been fine. Which it was, but okay. One surprise that we get off of this mission is that from the start we meet a new character, Noah. Quite fascinating character, yeah? And well, she is apparently the reason why they have the limitation garden. Of course, they're complaining about how much it costs to get it, but it is pretty impressive, so yeah. If anything, Noah says that they got it at a great discount, so I guess we got lucky. I guess it is closer to priceless, which is why it's a discount that she even sold it to us to begin with. What did we sell? Who really knows? Is it Enoa's body? Maybe, but it also could have been destroyed from the attack of the other god machines. Will we find out more? I don't know. And well, then we can skip forward to the boss. Yes, Mikoto wants to be cool and all, but, well, we are introduced to a new cast who stole her kill. Obviously this pissed her off, because we have Trinity, or Trinity, because they're called Trinity, but there's 4 of them. In any case, they are ready to battle Mikoto, but, well, what about the 5th god machine? They're no longer allies, because the 5th god machine has gone mad. Who would have thunk? So now the 5th god machine is kind of on his own party, I guess? And yet we still have to battle Trinity. Of course, Mikoto just like, oh, I can take you all on. But isn't that kind of unfair? To which Trinity took time to think about it, because they don't want to disrespect Lady Zoe's name. And so their leader, Hayat, is put forth to battle Mikoto in a 1v1 duel. And well, since we're playing Mikoto, we win. We beat her. No problem. I probably shouldn't say no problem, but in any case, now maybe they decided that we could gang up on Makoto, but the reason is why the reason why they didn't do it is because they want to respect Lady Zoe's name and have people also see her in a good light. Then there's the other aspect of, well, I guess, gameplay is that it's too soon to have multiple bosses to deal with. Well, have you do that later at another time, because you're still getting the ropes, learning the ropes of the game and getting used to it. Well, now that we beat Hayat and Trinity left, we're good. We don't have anything else to worry about but to go to Lethia, I guess that's what his name is. Well, off we go to the next episode. Lethia. Yes, Lethia. I don't know where I got Lethia from. I need another THE. Lethia. Well, we start off with Makoto not understanding why Trinity is called Trinity, because there's 4 of them. And she really wants to know, are they really that stupid? And then we go to the other side with Ami expressing the idea of the Feynman paradox, which it's, I guess, relevant, but not really. Not really that relevant to this story at all. Well, I guess it's kind of relevant because, well, actually, we're about to see why it's kind of relevant in this episode, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not important. So I'm just going to ignore it. Plus, I don't really want to talk about it. Then we have, I guess, Makoto just running into the dungeon to face Lethia. Man, I still struggle with this name. I want to say Lethia. And guess what? We get to find out why Zoe had declared that he had gone mad. I guess we got it from Trinity, but that's besides the point. It's because he wants to... Well, he came to the conclusion that restoring humanity is impossible, so calling out a signal for alien life form to have also to hopefully, I don't know, have the technology to go back in time to then change the course of human history and revive humanity, or maybe make it so it didn't happen, which, I mean, I don't know about you, but it sounds kind of stupid. But this is more or less the answer he came up with after having the conclusion that it is impossible to restore humanity. And this, I think, is a way to show that pure intellect and along that lines of thinking, to show that there are faults with your intellect and the faults of having that way of... But I suppose I am getting ahead of myself because I didn't explain what Lethia's purpose is. The short of it is that he functions as the intelligence and figuring out ways to restore humanity and observing the outer space of the world. So this whole thing is hence why he's just ahead. And his whole thing with him going mad is you can take it as a way of showing that there are faults with having a more focus centered on intellect, a way of thinking that you are thinking too far ahead and that you forget about the present. Because you do not only need to work on the future of humanity, but you also need to work on the present of humanity. You can't only focus on the future, but you also need to focus on the present of humanity. And Makoto defeats Lethia, and now we have gained control of his idea code, which has a fragment of Anoa's idea code, and now Makoto has it with her to take it back to the Limitation Garden, where Anoa processes it, and she comes to a new plane of existence that we're not entirely sure with. But she sees this redhead girl that do you remember seeing from the intro? Yes, that is her sister. Wait, someone she actually cares about. A person, not a machine. Fascinating. She doesn't really care about her parents. Well, only her sister. So really it's just one person. But guess what? Her sister has the centrifugal syndrome, which means she's going to die. But that's okay, because, Levin promised that she won't. Well, about that, she curses herself because this is just a memory. Then we get her sister, Yuri, coming to the frame, not from a memory, but some sort of reality of sorts, I guess, and tells Levin, just live. Gosh dang it, I want you to live. And then Levin comes back into reality, or I guess the virtual world, the limitation garden, and apparently Makoto also kind of just knocked out with her. And by coincidence, she also remembered about her younger sister. Strange. This is definitely important information. First off, Yuri's going to be an important character, and there's something going on with Makoto also remembering about a younger sister. And then now, we can go on to the next episode. Episode 5! Do you like whales? So, I probably should add this to episode 4. And that is, the way that the idea codes are created are similar to the idea. You can take it as the idea as multiple worlds, as it's multiple simulations and whatnot. But there's really not much support for that way of thinking, at least in terms of this game. Definitely does not seem like they care about multiple worlds at all. So the multiple worlds connection is unintentional from what it seems like. It's more on the lines of trial and error, and also the 2,000 years is, in a way, similar to Jesus, as it's been roughly 2,000 years since his birth, I guess, which is one thing this game likes to do, is reference biblical texts, or like the Bible, more or less. And well, then here comes it's the same, very much the same thing with the personality data. And they store the personality data in the head, so it may imply that they base it off of logic instead of emotion. This is probably due to the fact that they are machines, and well, considering that machines are rebuilding humanity, it makes sense, as machines are based off of logic. Basically a yes or no question, and it builds off of that. And this is very fitting for Lethea, as he is just ahead. So it also further enforces the idea of that this is more about intellect. And I suppose we're going back to episode 5 then. Okay. Anyways, we start off with Levin and Makoto talking about their sister. And, well, Levin loves his younger sister, while Makoto has a bit more of a weird feeling towards her younger sister. And then there's Ami trying to figure out the similarities between each of them, considering they all have younger sisters and all. And well, this brings up Ami's idea of love, or family love. This unconditional, unchanging love. Now, Levin doesn't believe in it, but Ami says that if it changes, then it wasn't truly genuine. And even if it doesn't exist, they can make it exist. This, in a way, builds upon Ami's character a lot more, considering that she is not a playable character right now, as she very well may be more a playable character, considering that they are holding back on the reason why she doesn't fight. So they're using their main way of building up character relations with one another, and have them have the players still interact and use the characters, even though they cannot play as the character if it is for only that moment. And well, this idea of love that Ami presents also goes in hand with the previous episode, in the sense of intellect itself is not necessarily what makes you human, as there's an emotional aspect about it as well. By that I mean love. And well, then there's Levin, who starts to understand what Ami's trying to tell her. But, it gets me thinking, why did Levin have such a reaction to this kind of love? And it more than likely has something to do with not having a good family relationship, or not having some sort of loving family, as they do show it in the games, with the flashback with her younger sister Yuri, and to a lesser extent in the intro to the intro to the game. And it's very possible that some of the things that she complains about humans is what she saw in her own family. And part of her part of the reason why she might look down upon herself is that she sees these same traits in herself, probably. And well, I don't think Levin realizes that she has this kind of love that Ami is talking about, this unconditional love, because it is in a way similar to how she is with Enoa. She expresses a lot of kindness, and they make it very apparent that she cares about Enoa a lot. So much so that Makoto teases her about it. But Enoa, being who she is, does not believe that she deserves such kindness, especially since she believes that machines aren't capable of feeling emotions, or that maybe there are emotions, but it's not valid, that it is not expressed in the same manner as a human would express it and feel from it. Now, how true that is, I don't know, because these god machines are artificial intelligence. Well, I guess there are more like AGI, artificial general intelligence, with a more focused goal, but capable of other things. And so then we can go to one of the optional tea parties in this episode, and that is family matters. I normally don't actually go with the optionals because they're optional and talking about, but I think this one actually is some interesting things, because through this optional tea party, we find out that Ami, Makoto, and Levin all have very similar backgrounds in the sense of a poor family life, having a younger sister. No, that's about it. But there's a interesting line that Ami says, and that is, perhaps having a poor relationship with one's father equates to higher humanity. And well, Levin's just like, I don't think that's the case. But this gives us an idea of a bit more about Ami, because we can already tell that she's a lesbian, right? But this also gives off the impression that part of the reason why she doesn't like men is because of her father, and probably her other male relatives, and implying that they're, in a way, lesser. Now, the game, fortunately, does not say that this is the case. It doesn't really promote this idea so much. However, that is what they say. I'll get more into this later, in probably the last part when I talk more about the themes of the story. But I figured that this is a nice one to kind of touch on a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna go on into the mission. Before that, let's know about what Logos is about. And, well, I'm just gonna quote it here, I guess. It presides over civilization development in a technological, scientific capacity, overseeing Eden's infrastructure and establishing establishing facilities. Yes, so this is what Logos does. And apparently, Logos is more of a tool, a machine, than, say, like Enoa, being more of an AGI. And well, Zoe's using it as a tool. And the combination of these two is what has been chasing the crew for so long. So it's revenge, sort of, because Logos isn't inherently the issue per se, but if we dismantle the weapon, or take it for ourselves, then it's no longer an issue. On a side note, we can surprisingly choose between Levin or Makoto for this mission. In which case I picked Levin because why not? And then, well, we start the mission. And what are we greeted with? Whales! And who loves whales here? Levin. So courageously adorable. Weird, but sure. Or I guess adorably courageous. Just how she thinks of them, I guess. And well, Levin doesn't want to kill it. But Makoto's like, bruh, if you want to live, you're gonna kill them if they're gonna pose a threat to you. And well, the boss of the place is nothing too important. Let's go over that until afterwards, back in the Limitation Garden. Levin wants to now take on Logos. Because, well, Makoto already did Lethia, and why not? She wants to give it a shot herself. Not being useless and all. Makoto definitely is okay with that because she wants to be seen as the cool mentor. It's like, yeah, this is what we're supposed to do. Let you do some work so you get some real-world experience. That and well, Makoto did warn Levin about the dangers of not having a reason. Now that Levin has a reason, there's not much to worry that she has because she will not waver because that will lead to slipping up and dying. Yet again, we come across another detail where Makoto can't get enough of teasing Levin about how much she adores Enoa. And then you have Levin and Ami talking that's not too important, just talking about some family stuff and whatnot. But one thing that gets me interested is the language. Because apparently Levin speaks in German, while Ami and Makoto speaks in Japanese. And I know that's the reason why they can communicate with each other seamlessly. And this game, you can only play in Japanese. So is Levin not the main character? Are we not seeing it through Levin's perspective? Does that mean we're seeing it through like Makoto's or Ami's perspective? I understand inclusion, but it's kind of weird to me. Like, it kind of feels like you're just taking the aesthetic just because you can and just not really doing anything about it. And like, yes, Levin is half Japanese, half German. Yet you only get to hear Japanese because this is a Japanese game. I mean, it makes sense in that regard, but in universe, in playing the game, it just feels kind of weird. You don't even get the option to change the language. Well, spoken language anyways. So at least for me, it kind of took me away from the immersion of the game. Like, it honestly doesn't change anything whether she speaks German or Japanese or whatnot. Because it's not a significant part of the story. It's just a nice little Easter egg or a thing to have it in there. So with that said, it doesn't really matter. It's just that it just makes me think, wait, who's actually the main character? And well, if we're going based off of language, certainly not the chosen one. And then we can go to the next tea party where Levin wants to know, how do you make a personality then? I understand just a little bit of how it works, but tell me more. And the short of it is basically the same way you do D&D characters. Just keep on rolling. Just roll. Just roll your dice. See what happens, see what you get, and build upon there. Of course, it's not completely random. You have some sort of like general points and markers that you work off of and go from there. And well, the conclusion the two characters came up with is kind of interesting about God in this conversation. I should probably mention, I want to add to Makoto teasing to Levin. Levin is a new recruit of sorts. And you know how people like to tease and mess with new recruits and see how they react? They get a kick out of it. I assume it's the same here. And so now on to the next part. Well, I don't really see the God part, so I'm going to skip that and go to, well, they do a name drop of Anthropod. Boss. I'm not too sure how you pronounce the thing. But he is the fourth God machine. And his role in this is to define humanity. And he's the one that created the E cross P system, which starts to make more sense and why it's kind of weird. But this Anthroptops person, I guess God machine can hopefully should have the data of Levin's sister so they can revive her. I guess the next thing we're gonna go and work on is the checkpoint. Well, they're gonna go on the mission basically. This place is really not important, but apparently this is where the locals can supply their stuff, I guess. In any case, moving on, there's a chase scene. Must suck to be chased by something you love. In any case, the boss. Guess who's guarding the checkpoint? Vita, one of the members of Trinity. Now her defining trait is, well, sleep. She desires to sleep in a real human body. To really experience the true feeling of sleeping. I'm sure many of you enjoy sleeping as well. She's very much the same way, except to an extreme. Vita doesn't really know what's going on, but she's loyal to Lady Zoe, and so all she really knows is that she cannot let the main party pass the checkpoint. But, well, we need to get to the checkpoint so that we can get to Logos, so we fight. Because there's no other way. Vita has an interesting reason why she joins Zoe, is so that she can have so she can become a human to sleep in a real human body. Now, I know it does say that she can do that, sleep in the virtual realm, but that is not the same, because to her, in her own words, is that would only be a dream within a dream, and that sleep should be experienced as a physical sensation. So this makes me think about this idea of sleep a bit more. This is quite fascinating. I don't think I've ever really heard anyone explain sleep in such a manner, but I guess that's because we don't have to worry about being real or not. So, I wonder, would we desire sleep if we had the choice of whether we could sleep or not and still function fine? I would assume there might be a number of people who would choose to want to be able to sleep, or would choose to sleep because that is a way to rest up. And well, I assume people would like to relax, but I don't know. Because even then, a lot of people also do not like having to sleep because they want to constantly work on other things. So there's a split on sleep. I'm not well versed in sleep, but I know enough about it to know that it's important about life. So if we had the ability to not need sleep and we did not have a body to feel its true physical sensation, would we have the desire to want to know what it feels like to sleep? Possibly. We may look at animals, if we have any animals, and see that they sleep and try to understand why. I don't think we would envy them. But I'm getting my head of myself. This is not really important to the whole story. So, moving on. We beat Vita in a fight. And Lemon wants to kill her. But then it was like, no. She is my child. I created her in the sense of like the personality data. And well, she's my precious child, so I cannot let you destroy her. And so they're like, yeah, you can run. You can run back to Lady Zoe. However, we do have a message for you. Can we meet up with Lady Zoe somewhere so that we can kind of talk it out? And so Vita leaves with that in mind. And now all we have to do after obtaining the checkpoint is to go to Logos. And well, hopefully we can receive the idea code, at least the fragments of Enoa's idea code, without having to fight it. Well, that's the plan anyways. Knowing that this is a game, it may not happen. Going back to Anthropos, the fourth day next Machina. I should probably mention this. Probably shift it around if you need to. So, Anthropos developed the defined humanity with the E-Cross-P system and the EVEs. But begs the question, when did he define that? And, when in relation to the EVEs and Cherems and whatnot. I don't know if this question is very important or not. But there's something not right with this whole system. And so I do believe they might do something about it. They might mention it, talk about it, or it might actually be a focal point of the story. Who knows? Anyways, moving on to the next episode, Logos. Well, I guess episode 7, Logos. There you go. Yeah, so let's start with the tea party with Mikoto and Levin. More or less, Mikoto talks about her younger sister because Levin asked. But that's besides the point. The thing is, her younger sister did care about her, but Mikoto's just like, man, you're a piece of work. You think you have to pity me? I'm too cool to be pitied. For showing that, or I guess telling us, that Mikoto really does care about how people view her. She has such a strong self-image that needs to be maintained, which is both a good and bad thing of like, it's a good thing in the sense of it helps her just kind of just go for it and do things, but it's not necessarily the best way to think, as it can lead you to be more judgmental, as expressed here as showing, or telling us that, well, I guess showing, that Mikoto does not like to be pitied, because she doesn't need to be pitied, and it does not look good upon her to be reliant on another person. It looks better if they were reliant on her. Even if it's genuine and not meant in a bad way, she pushes it away. So in a sense, she pushed away the affection, and so this could make a bigger drift between both Mikoto and her younger sister, since she's pushing her away basically, thus making the family relationship worse, which is kind of ironic considering how much Mikoto values family. And this ego of hers is both a blessing and a curse. A reliable person who will decline anything that will make her look uncool, especially to those she cares about. Even if it is them showing that they care for her, because it is done in a way that can be interpreted by others that there is a weak spot to Mikoto. I don't know if it's because of this that Mikoto has such high confidence in herself, or this is the result of her having high confidence in herself. In any case, we'll go on to the next day party with Levin and Ami, where we find out Ami used to fight. Yes, she used to fight. She's capable of fighting. It's just something happened and so she can't really fight. We don't really know what it is. But I am sure that they'll tell us later, soon enough. How much later? Who knows? I mean, I guess I do know, but we'll wait until it happens. Then I'll explain more about it, if necessary. But that also means that she may be a playable character in the future. Well, how much later in the future? I don't know. And well, later on, we have Levin and Enoa talking. And well, Enoa does not agree with the third. She's quite critical of the third. First is that she does not believe that the third has a good standing or basis to accuse the fourth is or at the very least disapprove the fourth's definition of what makes a human a human. But of course, I do find it a bit odd in the fourth's definition of what makes a human. Because if it is experience point, E cross P, then I might be inclined to agree with the third. Because a way to take it, if it's going to be with the accumulation of E cross P, which the EVs, the Cherums, even the God Machines all have some level of E cross P in them. And by defeating them, do they gain more E cross P? Or really the Eves. And so that in turn kind of implies that E cross P is combat based. Now, it does not seem that you need to kill anything per se, but generally they're killing. The only things they haven't killed were other Eves. Well, except for one, but we'll get there when we get there. In which case, you can take it as becoming human, or the way you define human is based off of their ability to battle, if not kill, another. Which is why I would agree with third in disapproving the fourth's definition of what defines a human, even if it is his function to do so, or his domain that he is in charge of, or rather responsibility. But then again, it also makes sense why Noah would say that she's overreaching her bound, because this is the fourth's purpose, or simply what he's in charge of. And no one knows what the third's in charge of or responsibility is, which does bring suspicion on who she is and what she's meant to fulfill. But, of course, we're in a game, so we know that later down the line we'll be told what her function is or responsibility. And considering that they're keeping it hidden, it is likely some sort of plot twist, or involves the plot twist in some way. You know, I don't think it's a very good thing for the player to kind of be more on the side of the antagonist than the main cast, but here I am. I mean, is it not arbitrary in how the E cross P system works? And what it implies, humans are not ruthless killing machines, or I guess ruthless killing people. Human beings are capable of both good and bad. And they are said to have the freedom to choose whether to do good or evil. In any case, moving on to the mission, where Eleven's put forth to battle a whale, to kill what she loves, or to be killed by what she loves. Now this is it, the purpose of this is to show Levin's growth and what she learned from Makoto as hesitation to act will lead you to die, or to be killed rather, I guess. Same thing. The problem is that it just doesn't work, because this is truthfully the only time that Levin actually battles a whale, and well, the other times she did not have to fight the whale. And also, ideally, they didn't want to fight the whale because the whales are pretty strong. And then you also have the issue of she hesitated a little bit to start fighting, but when she starts fighting, it's kind of, oh, whatever, right? Not really showcasing any real character growth. Very superficial, if I say so myself. And so, once Levin defeats Logos, we come back to the virtual world, or I guess the limitation garden. And lo and behold, Levin gets memories back of Yuri. But before I want to go on with what I want to say, I simply want to point this out of, like, I understand that this is anime logic, right? But why is their hair color so different? Unless I guess they inherited their different parents' hair colors? But I don't know, because generally they would have the same color hair, or at least close to each other's hair color. I mean, I guess it makes sense that they would make it different to make them stand out more, which is why they do it in anime. However, I still find it kind of jarring. But hey, you know what? They're in the future. Maybe they just have different hair colors. They dyed it or something. But in any case, they talk and so forth, so on and so forth. And Yuri wants Levin to continue living and so on and so forth. And I don't think it's that important. The only real important thing is that she talked with her sister, Yuri. And you get a little bit better understanding of who she is. And so once Levin regains conscience back, Makoto too also had the experience of meeting her sister, Yoru. And now this is starting to feel more and more like a coincidence. Is it? Who knows? but this is definitely something that feels like lamp shading. And then, oh no! Lebanon has rejection responses again, and that is more or less where it ends. I was originally gonna go farther with part 1, but it was gonna take too long, so I'm gonna end part 1 here. And when will part 2 come out? I don't know. But until next time, goodbye.